In this video, I'm going to be talking about different ways and unique ways you could make your stock market investments last for your entire life. In the past, I've talked about things like dividends, using different types of life insurance products and annuities in order to get a lifetime stream of income. But in this video, I'm going to particularly focus on stock market related investments and whether it is even possible to use stock market related investments, whether it's stocks and a combination of stocks and bonds. How would you even go about doing that? Hi, my name is Pascal Manigat and you're watching the Financial Ownership Podcast. William Burgin came up with something called the 4% rule around the 1990s. And basically what he was saying, if you use some sort of allocation of stocks and bonds, what he was saying, it was like using something like say a 50% ratio of stocks and bonds. What you could do basically is take 4% of that portfolio and basically adjust it for inflation every single year after. And basically you could have those investments last 30 plus years. This theory would never really be a good thing to try in a 100% stock portfolio just because stocks have a lot more volatility than bonds do. So having a mixture of saying 50% stocks, 50% bonds, or 60% stocks, 40% bonds, or some mixture in between where you don't want to go 25% below either one. You want to make sure that you have some sort of allocation, and using that rule where you take out 4% of your entire portfolio and then adjusting it for inflation afterwards. And I'm actually going to give you an example of what that would look like. So just to show you a real example on how the 4% rule would actually work, say you have $1 million in your total portfolio when you decide to retire. 4% of $1 million would be 40,000. And then afterwards, after you adjust for inflation, let's say in 2020 is when you decided to retire. And let's do it based on some of the numbers that have happened in the past recently. So 2020, you take 4% of your portfolio, 40,000, and that would be what you would use that year as retirement income. And then what you would do the next year is adjust this amount, this previous amount, which is 40,000, by inflation. So what's the inflation of 2021 right now? It's 6.2%. So we would adjust that 40,000 to 6.2. That means now the next year you're going to be taking out $42,480. And then the next year, depending whatever inflation is in 2022, you would adjust this number again, and you would keep doing that. And that's basically what you would do every single year. So you have constant retirement income from your portfolio for your entire life. This is a big reason why $1 million for, if you look at the situation millennials are in today, $1 million if they basically saved it up all the way up until the retirement age, say of 65, that's because that's what they call the retirement age now. That's not going to be enough for most people to retire on, because you guys also have to think, how much is that 40,000 actually going to buy in, say, like let's say a millennial that's 25 years old or 26 years old. What is it actually going to be able to buy in the next 40 years? It's not going to be able to buy nearly as much as it would now, right? So, and that's really important to factor in. And that's why you're probably going to need, if you're in your 25, 30s, somewhere between 2 to 3 million in order to have a decent retirement income or a decent retirement lifestyle, if you want to not change too much of your standard of living or anything like that. And especially when you take into account there's going to be things like taxes associated with it, because most people, what they're doing as a main source of retirement income, even though I constantly say in my channel that's not really a good idea, especially based on today's economy, people use things like 401ks, which have massive tax liabilities in the future, and who knows what tax rates are going to be in the future. So even if you do end up having to that 1 or 2 million in your account or in your portfolio, it's going to be subject to massive taxes, income taxes too, which are the highest taxes, where you can pay things like federal tax, social security tax, state taxes, Medicare taxes, and many other types of taxes associated with income taxes. So you really want to be looking around like the 2, probably closer to 3 million range if you actually want to not change too much of your lifestyle. If you're making, say, a $70,000 or $60,000 income today, that's probably what you want to aim towards in the future. And preferably in accounts that have tax preferred treatment, meaning later on you don't pay taxes in the future. The more you can accumulate in those type of assets, the more predictable your money source will be, whether it's Roth accounts or other types of accounts that give you tax benefits where you don't pay taxes in the future. And then using something like the 4% rule might actually work. But as always, when it comes to using market-related investments that fluctuate up and down, there is risk associated with it. And I'm going to kind of outline a little bit of those risks. One thing is, if you happen to retire when the market happens to be high, you're at risk of a market correction or something like that if it happens to happen soon when you retire. And if you decide to use a strategy like the 4% rule, you really need to make sure that your allocation makes sense, especially if you're retiring off of some recent highs in the stock market. You want to make sure that you have some sort of allocation or a larger allocation of bonds, maybe 50 or even 60% in bonds. So when the market does correct, yes, bonds are still subject to market risk, but the standard deviation of a bond is significantly less than that of the stock market, the S&P 500. And you might want to, I know the rule says it's 4%, but if you want to be a little bit more conservative and you want to make sure that your money lasts, maybe you might want to take something like 3.5% or less, or 3.3%, to make sure that money does actually last. And if you use it in certain tax advantage accounts like Roth accounts, it really can be more predictable for you as well, because you don't have to worry about the tax liabilities you might have to pay in the future. This doesn't mean that it can't work. It just means that you have to be aware of the risks so you can plan accordingly. So if certain things happen, or if you're in a particular situation, you could either plan for yourself or have someone work on your financial plan so you can make sure that you can actually reach the goal you actually want. In my opinion, this actually isn't a bad idea, and you could have some portion of your assets doing this where you take out like 3 or 4% of your total stock market and bond market assets, and you're just using it as another stream of income for you as either an income supplement or income replacement for what you're doing. I don't know about using the idea of all of your assets or relying all of your income based on that. You might want to have other types of assets, whether it's real estate assets, cash value life insurance, annuities, different types of things that give you streams of income which aren't as affected by, say, market crashes as much, and you still have that steady stream of income. And if you think about it, insurance products, I do talk about those a lot in my channel. Those are the only type of products that actually give you a guaranteed amount on your money, a guarantee on your principal. Even when you look at the bond market, if you invest directly in the bond market, they are subject to market volatility. But in properly structured insurance contract, depending on which type of insurance contract you get, you actually have guarantees on your money, and you have guarantees that your principal won't decrease depending on which type of contract you use. Some annuities guarantee all of your money and make sure that you don't lose any of it due to market volatility, and different types of life insurance accounts can do similar things as annuities as well. If you're using a combination of all these things, you can have a very predictable income stream, and you don't have to worry too much, even at all, about market fluctuations or anything like that. And you could basically create an indestructible financial plan where you don't have to worry about market swings at all. The 4% rule, I think, is a good thing to follow as well, but I don't know about the idea of just using only that. Obviously, people might have things like Social Security. Who knows what that's gonna pay in the next 40 years or anything like that. So if you got to the point where you created a portfolio where you have 2 or 3 million in, say, in the next 20, 30, 40 years, or whatever your financial game plan is different for everyone. What you can do is allocate some of those assets, whether it's in real estate and some type of insurance type products will give you guarantees on your money, so you can create that very predictable stream of income. You don't have to worry too much about market fluctuations or anything like that. The main thing when it comes to those type of assets, it gives you some sort of predictable cash flow. So you have income coming in every month rather than having to deal with the appreciation of assets when it comes to like stocks and bonds. Sometimes you could have accounts or different types of stocks and bond funds that pay dividends. I'm not going to go over that in this video. This video is more on the idea of using the 4% rule and taking some of your assets to replace as a retirement supplement. And I just wanted to cover that a little bit so you have a better understanding of how that actually works. So if you found some value in this video, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. I post financial content every single week. So if you enjoy content on personal finance, investing, and different types of ways financial products work, I post content every week. So subscribe to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, and as always, in the description below, there's a link to my Linktree. If you have a question for me, whether it's about a financial product or financial content, feel free to contact me. And as always, thanks for watching.